number one breakfast show on TV, the AM Drive.
AM Drive.
I mean, because this insecurity is injustice.
AM Drive.
Some features you see that will tell you that this animal.
One vote is so important.
This is the AM Drive.
AM Drive. All right, it is another beautiful morning here in the studio of Kwara Television Authority, and there we are welcoming you to the TGF edition of your number one breakfast show on TV. It is the AM Drive, and we are reaching you live from our studio in Akwata, Yakuba. You can reach us live on Star Times 113. We are live on Free TV at 502. You can also reach us on Facebook and as well as our YouTube page at Kwara TV for all our live programs and streaming. We're welcoming you today, the 19th day in the month of December 2025. Of course, we know it is a beautiful one here, and it is definitely going to be a beautiful one to you there. My name is Kehinde Olawi Additional, welcoming you on board this very lovely Friday morning. Of course, this is the last edition this week. We thank you for always standing by and also for being a part of the Kwara TV family. Like we know, like I said yesterday, it is just a few days to Christmas. By tomorrow, let's say Sunday, we'll be saying that that week is Christmas. And of course, we love the fact that the spirit is already in most people. You know, the spirit of the celebration is in most people, and we pray that may the peace, joy and love of the season abide with us all. I have my colleagues in the studio this morning who we are going to be taking the show together as we are taking one segment at a time, and you are opening your business, your office space. So we'll be keeping your company for the next 1.5 hours. All right, I have Amina in the studio with me this morning. Happy Friday, Amina.
Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Kasana.
A lovely Friday to you.
Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Of course, why are you laughing at me? As if I'm trying to catch up with the language. I'm trying.
Really, I think Hausa has been my favorite language that you know I was willing to learn when I was still little. You know.
But you are
But now I'm hoping to diverse languages on the show.
It's to understand.
We are hoping to
understand no pay. Yes.
It was never on my list, but we thank God we are here and we need to learn it.
It's now your
as Kwara, you just have to.
All right.
Of course, thank God it's Friday. It's another beautiful edition of your regular monitoring program, AM Drive. And this is the TGIF edition that we call Thank God It's Friday edition that we cap the week's edition with. And thank God for Mondays, we are about to wrap up this week edition with today's edition, which is Thank God It's Friday edition. And we thank you, our esteemed viewers, for always investing your time with us for an hour and a half to enjoy every pleasurable things and of course content that we bring to you on this show. Of course, from Monday to Friday, you're always here to meet your information, education, and of course, insightful discussion, pleasure at Kwara TV. And of course, we provide a pleasurable platform for you to watch Kwara TV anywhere, anytime, any day. That is on that time. You can locate Kwara TV on channel 113 and on Free TV. We are on channel 502. Of course, on our Facebook page at Kwara TV, we are there always live. And of course, the plus on our YouTube page, you can catch Kwara TV there to see all we push out from here. And we promise to always bring you that particular goodies from here. So don't change that, keep watching Kwara TV. And of course, on the segment of the program, you have different ones that always miss your pleasure of information. As we have the super review that will take you around the globe, around the world to know what transpires and what is trending on the gist of the newspaper review that we do. And of course, in case you missed some of our last night's stories in the bulletin, you have some of them back in the AM news segment. And the last lap is the segment where we discuss topical issues of germane to the society that you and I will take a look and have more understanding and informed about. And of course, today we have them lined up. And of course, my name is Amina Sadiku Yunus, welcoming you to the TGIF edition of AM Drive. Our Oko on board. You always blush whenever I say that.
Yes, I
Kenny, can't you
always.
see? You always blushing whenever I say I'll come on.
It's normal. It's normal.
As a man.
I mean, of
As a man, yeah. You know, sometimes
That's what you want.
men measure their strength sometimes with the number of women they have. So
Yeah.
I believe women are the price. Yes, that is it.
Well, accept.
You agree. Now you just have to.
agree.
You just have to have option.
Women are
to
the
agree.
price.
But still, well, we are coming to that.
Okay.
Ekubela yibando nega de chile na lokaci da bana ba ya gan be ya ba ya gan be shiri ya la hin na yi gan AM drive na alenu pe chi gan ya she bati na mo lo pan su kon ba tuba o ga chile wa ni gan kenon pe chi egun na gan ki ye tu ba ni wa le gan de ko kwa on de ko ngala mi chi gun shi do gan yen na lo pan wa ba tubo nga biemu alegan mi agam gan yeli sukun na bati alegan ni chukuna da iburu ibuwa no ga gan mo efu no de na lash atashi gan we efu mi machi na ma Jesus Christ na nga gan efu na za adini bati je la jiki o elaji ma oludian nga gan ni ma etian anabi Isa na Iso ato yi gan Jesus Christ ka ta bayiwo anabi Isa ye o ma ya anabi na tulana wona kama yi pata na aga gaba na alegon da litafi so ipe go mami la de yi me wo sashi ebe kya chi ne ya ga fi wala nya ne ani fi no gan be ngimi ya wo me na jine fi wo gan be na etie kyanzo ya di se baby na etie burolo na ebo no me bia wale gan side be ni o ni no de ga la na nga yi na de eto agikini ti wo no ebo chachi no egu ba mu shide lam lato egba ni alegan edun fe lafia kamen dun Nigeria na yaje nga yina aju che sam dan dun wa ni kono sallayen creation na ma gadani dana to wale gan egu a wuce gwan to idi su to ko na lo bando are ma lo bando ebo kibo ebo na e twa debo o ga na kiba ni e twa debo mana nga ba su ko ide wo ko na daga kin ta cin ba ni alegan ai da fiti da hiki e ji kokari etiyan etsayo no mage basuko iga sala na lagan be lafi to ki maga gede ya woro suku jan tun la be lafi fata ebe ki a tin be la hin wa ibe pa lo ndo chi ya gan mina de la gan Ahmed pasina tampafo ke do de no iga juna wa na le gan takara je ja be na la ba iga tula kon gwa yo no ti ki gede la ba e bai so ne ga ko kan no e ti gede file yan e ga wo be ki a tin si download ama ya wata timi da bayan da non ga igan da to ya gan jumba ni ya gan be shi me ya gina fati
ya wo lo si ya wo 30 minutes
ya wo 30 listen ya wo 30 me
okay
not 30 minutes
My something was
that is what are you not
You are asking the
listen you baby fulani ka so to le won
don't mind Fati.
kubela yi this is what I want yawo tachi
okay yawo tachi
yawo tachi
language this is
yawo tachi me.
yawo welcome yawo tachi
Christmas is when we are going to party together. No fear. No beru mo.
Baba ma so wa o.
Ntin ja ila ya isin gómìnà wa gbogbo e tin lole fefe.
Amen.
Ma je ko sele bi wa o.
Amen and amen.
Kehinde.
Fati, good morning.
Mo da mi ko mo ko ti mo ye diye to pa bai.
With pounded yam, but we shouldn't consider the prices of chicken for now.
Okay, mo fẹ́ sọ
Oh, should we?
ogun yẹn ni bo mo sọ pé kíni. Ade wa fẹ́ gun yan ọgọ́rùn yẹn nísìn gan. Orí fàájì ló wà wọ́n tí fọwọ́ gun yan.
Of course,
Yes, we have food processor, we have young powder.
the colors.
Ṣé wàá jẹ yán náà?
Okay.
Èmi fẹ́ jẹ Chinese rice.
That's
Oh,
very
that's
good.
good.
That's a beautiful Christmas coming
Yeah,
from Kenya
we
side.
left the old Nigeria
Exactly.
to go to China.
Christmas nothing but àti road.
Of course.
E ma tún da wàhálà rice tiwa ni ka tiwa to la je e won ti o ta ni.
You know the husband around now. That is what they do. We have no pay rice. I don't want to call it the other name. We have the no pay rice.
Esi adrun ta ko kalẹ̀
Of
For
course.
Christmas, we reserve.
Rice,
You
dry
communicate in
fish,
every form now.
Kẹ́hìndé we.
We'll
Àti
do
sọ̀rọ̀
the
adìẹ ń
news.
sìn. Adìẹ ti bílẹ̀ láfẹ́ o.
Ajẹ́ tiẹ̀ wá lè mọ̀ wá tó wá bóyá kẹ́ pé wúrẹ́. Wúrẹ́.
Don't worry, I'm sure something is going to be done about the celebration of Christmas. Like I remember the Ileya program celebration, you did nothing. But I don't want your audience to be aware.
Kí àwọn ará ilé náà ká tó máa bẹ́ẹ̀ tó lọ.
Let's go, okay?
Akiwa pé akójúmọ́ ní gbogbo tẹ́tí bọ̀ àtẹ̀tí ń wò wá lówùúrọ̀ yìí a kò palẹ̀mọ́ ọdún a kí gbogbo àwọn mùsùlùmí ọlọ́kùnrin lórí pé àbáríkà jímẹ̀mí wa yóò sì púpọ̀ rẹ̀ láyé gbogbo alápapọ̀ thank God it's Friday àwọn kí gbogbo àwọn ọmọlẹ́yìn Kristi pé a kò palẹ̀mọ́ ọdún kérésì Ọlọ́run jẹ́ kó bá wa láyé àfàlàáfíà dé má jẹ́ ká gbàgbé pé ọdún kérésì kése kákan jẹrẹsì àti ẹdìyẹ nìkan ó ní àwọn ẹ̀kọ́ tó kọ́ wa àwọn ẹ̀kọ́ yìí òun ni kí ẹ jẹ́ ká múlò nítorí wọ́n ní ibi tí ìfẹ́ bá wà ibẹ̀ ni ìfọ̀kànbalẹ̀ máa ń gbé ibẹ̀ làlàáfíà máa ń gbé ẹ jẹ́ ká fẹ́ràn ara wa ká sì rí i pé a ṣe dára síra wa lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí mi tó wà pé àkójúmọ́ akábọ̀ sórí ètò ọmọ yín ọ̀rẹ́ yín olólùfẹ́ yín Fatima Salman kí wa pé àkójúmọ́ ẹ kú ọjọ́ mẹ́ta ẹ kú ọjọ́ gbòòrò bí owó aṣọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò ẹ pàpọ̀ tẹ̀lé ẹ máa tẹ̀lé wa Kẹ́hìndé.
All right, Fatty, thank you very much. I think on that note, we need to move to the newspaper review segment this very lovely Friday morning. As usual, we have some selected national daily newspapers. And of course, we'll be taking the headline as well as the highlights on the front pages of the papers this morning. And don't forget, if any of the stories catches your attention, please do make sure you get yourself a copy of the paper. All right, the first paper with me this morning is the Daily Trust newspaper. Let's take a look at the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. We have the big story there that says new budgets as 2025 lags. That is the big story this morning, and the details of that is in the pages of the Daily Trust newspaper. All right, the top line story this morning says tax laws alterations, presidency silence, reps raise probe panel. More details on the story this morning is on page 7. And of course, federal government reopens Unity schools after 28 days closure. I think that is about the insecurity, you know, the banditry and all that, you know, that prompted the federal government to close Unity schools, the boarding schools.
Okay, now.
But it seems students cannot even go to school now that we are in the season of Christmas.
Some of them, what are people amazed with? Some of them couldn't even afford to write their first time examination before the particular closure. So I think it's not a good
because I believe even if it is open now, we have just a week to Christmas, and
exactly.
I don't think students will be able to go for now.
now.
So let's just assume they are going to resume by January.
Of course.
Okay, so that is the story this morning. So those that have children in the boarding school, Unity schools, should just take note of that. The next story says Boko Haram adopts burn LG vice chair and councillors. All right, that is another story on insecurity there, and the details is also in the pages of the Daily Trust newspaper. All right, let's take the last story this morning that says reps raise presidential campaign expenses to 10 billion naira, governorship to 3 billion naira. Reps raise presidential campaign expenses to 10 billion, governorship to 3 billion. So in case you have people, you have your friends, your brothers that wants to, you know, run for the presidential. Okay.
Billion or million?
Billion. And in naira.
Okay, billion naira.
Yes.
Not dollars, naira.
No, you want to have a brother that wants to run for president. Then you have someone that wants to run for governor. It's actually very cheap. That is 3 billion. That is 3 billion for governorship. So yes, so
governorship
yes,
3 million.
It's 3 billion, but presidency is 10 billion. So if you can afford it. Okay, be a sponsor. The writer says, okay, it's e-transmission of election results. Okay, so that will be done on the internet. The results will be done on the internet and not manually. So let's see how that goes next year, thereabouts. All right, there we have it, the front page of the Daily Trust this morning. If you're interested in any of the selected stories, please do make sure to get yourself a copy of the Daily Trust newspaper.
I'll be taking my stories from Leadership Friday newspaper and going just beside the masthead of the paper. I have this from the Super Eagles saying, Super Eagles arrive in Vest, Morocco for AFCON 2025. And of course, detail can be found on page 31 of that paper. And of course, just below the masthead story of Leadership Friday, reps OK electronic transmission of results. And the rider, 7-man House committee to probe alleged alteration of tax laws. Get the detail on page 7 and 27 of the paper. And of course, just beside that, author of books on Buhari claims cabals assist in Tinubu administration too. Author of book on Buhari claims cabals exist in Tinubu administration too. But if you want to know who are the cabals and of course the indices to know that yes, there are really cabals in this administration as well, you can get the detail on page 6 of Leadership Friday today. And of course, the big story there this morning is on pensioners and their health, and it says commission 30,000 pensioners to receive free health care in first quarter of 2026. As federal government unveils pen care beneficiaries to be selected from 6 geopolitical zones of the nation. I think this is a good news to our pensioners because after retirement, especially by the age that we believe in Nigeria, maybe after that particular age, there has to be 1 or 2 ailments that this particular
comes with old age.
Is that old age. So this is a good news to them. If the federal government, they are about to open a pen care scheme, like a pensioner care,
like free health care for 30,000 pensioners.
But what all intrigued me here is that beneficial to be selected from 6 geopolitical zones. So to be selected, not automatic. Not
so we have 5,000 from each zones.
Probably.
Selected.
He's selected. Selected, not automatic. That maybe after your retirement,
If you are selected,
definitely,
criteria
to be released.
I'm sure it will be from a federal worker to. So this can be found on page 4 of that paper as well. And just below that, Nigerian Air Force Sea 130 crew continues mission after Burkina Faso release. Get more of it on page 7 of the paper. And on the bottom area of the paper, I have this on politics. Senate confirms Yakubu Abbas, 61 others as ambassadors. Congratulations to them. And the detail is on page 19 of the paper. And of course, free council funds embrace state police. President tells governors. This is an urge from our president to governor, that is free council fund, embrace state police. And the detail is on page 4 of the paper as well. And lastly on the paper today, Dangote's petition, Farouk Ahmed's resignation will not affect investigation, says anti-graft agency. We hope so. Because in Nigeria, a lot of people, when you do a kind of whistle blowing, at the end of the day, a lot of things happens that even though
like whether you resign or not, it will not affect the investigation. So yeah, he was actually involved in what he was accused of. So whether he resigns or not, investigation continues.
Well, of course, this can be found on page 7 of the paper today, and that's it on Leadership Newspaper Friday. If you want to have detail about all the stories and the riders, you can go to your newspaper stand and have a copy of Leadership Friday to get that done.
All right, let's take a quick one at the Vanguard newspaper this very lovely Friday morning. And the front page, we are going to be taking the headlines as we have the big story that says oil sector, far-reaching reforms coming, Egerson Mohammed vows. That is the big story this morning, and you can get that on page 5 on the Vanguard newspaper. The top line story says NSIA grows assets to $3 billion, builds Nigeria's health, agriculture, and infrastructure sectors. More details on that this morning on page 50. Below the picture story there, where we have Foreign Minister Tuga with crew of detained NEF plane. It says tax laws altering legislations through official gazettes is illegal, says lawyers, as reps constitutes committee to probe alleged alterations. That is another story, and you can read more on that this morning on page 11. Governor Yusuf loads Tinubu Bichi over 47 billion naira Wojuroju Road. That is another story that is on page 9. And of course, that is how much we can take on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. If you're interested in any of the selected stories, please do make sure to get yourself a copy of the Vanguard newspaper. And of course, we'll be going for a commercial break now. And when we come back, it will be time for more on the show. Please do stay with us.
When it's bright and early, get your breakfast right. You need all the nutrients that will hold you tight. Stay in power, you find it all in peak. Every move you make, Peak's got you all the way. And the peak goes on.
Power on every morning with our Peak breakfast to make the most of every day. Peak. Reach for your peak.
I mean, cause this insecurity is injustice.
From features you see that will tell you that this animal.
One vote is so important.
This is the
When it's bright and early, get your breakfast right. You need all the nutrients that will hold you tight. Stay in power, you find it all in peak. Every move you make, Peak's got you all the way. And the peak goes on.
Power on every morning with our Peak breakfast to make the most of every day. Peak. Reach for your peak.
From features you see that will tell you that this animal.
One vote is so important.
This is the
When it's bright and early, get your breakfast right. You need all the nutrients that will hold you tight. Stay in power, you find it all in peak. Every move you make, Peak's got you all the way. And the peak goes on.
Power on every morning with our Peak breakfast to make the most of every day. Peak. Reach for your peak.
From features you see that will tell you that this animal.
One vote is so important.
This is the
When it's bright and early, get your breakfast right. You need all the nutrients that will hold you tight. Stay in power, you find it all in peak. Every move you make, Peak's got you all the way. And the peak goes on.
Power on every morning with our Peak breakfast to make the most of every day. Peak. Reach for your peak.
Many thanks for staying tuned on Kwara TV AM Drive show, and we are still on the newspaper review segment of the show. And I am to take the next stories from New Nigeria newspaper. And going by the big story on the paper this morning, it says Senator Ireti Kingibe sparks political earthquake in FCT, joins ADC. This is another big wig in the APC party joining the APC there, and the detail can be found on page 17 of New Nigeria newspaper. And just beside the masthead, NAFDAC committed to writing Nigeria off as part of standard products, says Director General. NAFDAC committed to writing Nigeria off as part of standard products. And the detail can be found on page 4 of New Nigeria newspaper today. And below that, Dangote, Farouk Ahmed's accusation, not enough. EFCC, ICPC must act, says Frank. Okay, we cross our fingers to know what exactly. And this detail can be found on page 3 of the paper as well. And on the bottom line area of this paper, I have this story saying, appoint Nigerian coach for Super Eagles. Satu Marajis, JI urges NFF. And get the detail on page 3 of the paper to know why and the call for appointing Super Eagles coach in Nigeria. And of course, below that, African women push Maputo protocol enforcement to end sexual violence. Read this more on page 3 of the Nigerian paper. Nigeria deploys navigational charts to enhance safe access to Calabar Bakassi deep sea port. The detail is on page 3 of the Nigerian paper. And lastly, today on the newspaper, federal government reopens 47 federal university secondary schools, affirms commitments to safety. Well, we pray and urge government to do more, because Unity School is always a school that I always want people to put their children. If you think of the value that it inculcates on the children, when you meet, you cross nation, you cross tribe, meeting together.
When the security.
Exactly, that's when the security exactly is being assured and followed to letter. At home. If need can be done, because the value, if it is being engineered, is a very good one. It's a very good one. Exactly. Exactly, tribalism and what abuse.
Different tribes, religion,
from different geopolitical zones.
Yeah, I'm a product of Unity School, and I can, yes,
you cross zones.
Yes.
That they won't be going back to there again. But the government is now giving the assurance. Oh my God. For NYSC,
before now, people do, get their
when they're out of the age that's supposed to go for it, the age that has to be the exemption time.
You can do that voluntarily.
Due to security situation in the nation. Okay. We pray our government do more and we God help be their succor there. The detail is on page 4 of the paper today, and that's it on the Nigerian paper. You can have yourself a copy to read any of them that have caught your attention more.
All right, let's move on with the newspaper review, as I will be taking the first daily newspaper this morning. Let's take the front page of the first daily newspaper, as we have a story just beside the masthead that says Kuka visits Nnamdi Kanu in detention in high-profile meeting. That is the first story there this morning, and the details is in the pages of the first daily newspaper. The big story is on Rivers crisis, as it says 90% of our audio came from PDP. He even said before then that it was not really part of the People's Democratic Party, like not a full member before. So let's just take it as I said it. That is coming from Fubara there. And the details of the story this morning is also in the pages of the first daily newspaper. The top line story says 2027, Tinubu already has 70% support in Rivers, says Governor Fubara there. That is the details. You can get the details, of course, in the pages of the first daily. Wike backed PDP, removes 14 state executives and fixes fresh congresses. That is another story this morning. NAFDAC destroys 55 billion naira worth of seized hazardous goods in Ibadan. That is another story, and it is in the pages of the first daily. Tinubu to President 2026 budget to National Assembly on Friday. Tinubu to present the 2026 budget to the National Assembly on Friday. Alright, the details is also in the first daily newspaper. The bottom line story says reps launch probe into alleged alteration of tax laws. And of course, court upholds EFCC detention of Malami, rejects the bail plea. Alright, the last story this morning says Ngige granted bail after 6 days in custody. And of course, those are the headline on the front page of the first daily newspaper this morning. If you're interested in any of the headlines that will be read out to you, please do make sure to get yourself a copy of the first daily newspaper.
And of course, I'll be taking the last paper for the segment, and I'll be taking the stories from the Punch newspaper. Going to the top line story on the paper, it says, insecurity. Tinubu pledges state police to U.S. European allies. Get the detail on page 7 of the Punch newspaper today. And beside it, World Bank to approve $500 million loan for Nigeria today. All right, another loan. And of course, detail can be found on page 25 of the Punch newspaper. And on Unitide, NSA alerts governors to beef up security. It is a very urgent call one, because people have to move here and there for the celebration of Christmas and other celebrations. And beside the master story, MTEF reps Senate disagree over crude oil benchmark. The detail can be found on page 5 of the Punch newspaper. And the big story on the paper today says, reps probe tax law tweaks. PDP demands suspension. The rider, House raises 7-man ad hoc panel. Presidency warns against sabotage. Says tax law not anti-people. A lot of talk have been going about this particular tax, the coming tax law, where they said there are some parts that were alterated, all this what have you. I believe the detail can be found on the paper by going to page 2 of the Punch today. And of course, on the bottom area below the picture story, where we have the Mr. President, the Vice President, another big week in the APC, where they had their APC caucus meeting yesterday. We have this story on the bottom line area saying, Senate confirms Fani Kayode Omokri, 60 others as ambassadors. The detail and the name of those ambassadors can be found on page 7 of the Punch. And beside it, South African police shoot Nigerian man dead at traffic stop. This must have been probably a miss target or whatever.
Operation.
Exactly. And it says on page 5 of the Punch today. And the last story on the paper today says, court okays Malami's further detention by EFCC. You can get the detail on page 7 of the Punch today. For you to read any of these stories and their writers, you can avail yourself a copy of the Punch to get that done.
All right, thank you, Amina. And with that, this morning completes the package on the newspaper review segment. If you're interested in any of the papers that we have taken their headline and, of course, the highlights, please do make sure you visit your newspaper stand to get yourself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the copies. It's time for us to go for another short break, and when we come back, it will be time for the AM News. Please do stay with us. Number 1 breakfast show on TV, the AM Drive.
AM Drive.
I mean, cause this insecurity is injustice.
AM Drive.
From features you see that will tell you that this animal.
One vote is so important.
This is the AM Drive.
AM Drive.
ṣètò tó dùn tí ò láfiwé ìròyìn èyí tó gbayì tó dùn ún gbọ́ ètò òṣèlú tí ó lẹ́jà ń bá kan nínú ọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀sìn tó ń kọ́ni bá ṣe lè ráyé gbé níbi ká ṣe polówó ọjà kájé owó gbá bó ṣe ń lọ láàrin àwọn òṣèré wa eré ìdárayá ó gbẹ̀yìn kò ṣe kà tán ìyẹn ló mú kí wọ́n máa gbayì kárí àgbáyé o. Kwara Tẹlifíṣàn ti dá ní ìdáyé pẹ̀lú àwòrán èyí tó halẹ̀ tó malẹ̀ kodoro èyí ló mú kí wọ́n máa gbayì kárí àgbáyé o. Kwara TV is leading. Others follow. Kwara TV is leading. Others follow. In terms of informative content. Others follow. In terms of education. television, others follow. And entertainment, others follow. Cancer 113, others follow. Free TV 502, others follow. You can watch us on Facebook, others follow. Kwara TV is leading, others follow. Kwara TV la síwájú, others follow. Gbogbo amóhùnmáwòrán, others follow. Ìyẹn kárí ayé, others follow. Kwara TV is leading, others follow. Kwara television is leading, others follow.
Hello, good people of Kwara State.
My name is Kupri. See this? If you love entertainment,
Boy King J Black MC Genius. This is Click Chat.
is Click Chat.
I smell something cooking. The sun's gonna shine on them.
You understand? Now.
Ìdílé tí Ọlọ́run gbé kalẹ̀ pẹ̀lú ayọ̀ yìí ó níbi tó ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìrìn àjò ìfẹ́ ìdílé kí ló ṣe sábà bí àkọ́kọ́ pàdé ààrẹ rẹ̀.
Ó ti lé ní 40 ọdún àti méjì tàbí bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìgbésí ayé wa.
Marriage wa a ṣe níbi 23 years.
Ó ti tó ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọdún sẹ́yìn báyìí ní around 1991, 92.
1981 àti ọ̀dọ́dọ̀ àwọn.
Èmi pẹ̀lú ìyá ẹ̀ ọmọ ìlú kan náà ni wá.
Ìjọ kan là ń lọ bọ̀ kì í ṣe inú chọ́ọ̀chì kan ni.
Mo ń lecture ní Kwara Poly. Ó jẹ́ akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ lára àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́. Adéwọ̀ obìnrin yìí mo nífẹ̀ẹ́ o. Báwo ni ṣe é? Báwo wá ni o? Wá ṣàṣìbẹ̀rẹ̀.
I'm so happy that day pé Ọlọ́run ti gbọ́ àdúrà mi. Ọ̀nà lókì náà ọ̀nà lókì.
1978 ẹ̀gbọ́n mi kan ló fẹ́ ṣe ìgbéyàwó nígbà náà láti bí ìgbéyàwó mi wá lọ dúró ni mo rí arẹwà yìí pé ọmọ ló dára bí ojú báyìí ó wù mí.
Àsọdù bẹ́yẹn mi ì mọ bó ṣe ṣẹlẹ̀ bí mo ṣe rí wọn báyìí ó dàbíi pé èèyàn bíi magnet bí magnet bá ti rí irin ṣe mọ̀ kò sí jù yẹn náà.
wọ́n dẹ̀ dé wọn kọ́ lẹ́ka èmi náà reply tó tán.
Ìlọrin ìṣèlú fìtínàfà. Ìlọrin ìṣèlú jàgídíjàgan ìlú tó jìnnà síná tó.
ilé mo mọ̀ báyìí náà mọ̀ kí wà káàbọ̀ sẹ́rí ètò yìí ètò wa ni.
ètò yìí ètò wa nílò dá wa ètò yìí ní máa sọ fún wa kí ni ìṣe kí lásà tó so pa.
kò síbi kan tí wọ́n ti rí wo.
tójú Kwara Tv. Nílọrin la wà àwọn ẹ̀dọ̀ kí n ti ń bẹ ńlọrin nílọrin la wà. Nílọrin la wà fún ọmọ Ìlọrin fún olólùfẹ́ Ìlọrin.
ìlú Ìlọrin ìṣèlú fìtínàfà.
Gèrè Alimi ló wà o.
Gèrè Alimi ló wà. Gbogbo nǹkan dára tí wù yàn. Gèrè Alimi ló wà o.
Alright, you're welcome back at the studio Friday edition of the Drive. Don't forget to reach us live on Star 113 Free TV 502 and also on Facebook and YouTube at Kwara TV. At this time for the news this morning, I am Kendi Olawi additional. And starting the news, the Senate on Thursday confirmed the nomination of 64 nominees for appointments as career and non-career ambassador of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The confirmation followed the consideration and adoptions of the reports of the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs presented by Chairman Senator Abubakar Sani Bello. In his presentation, Senator Bello said the committee screened the nominees and found them suitable for appointment, noting that their nomination complied with relevant provision of the law and excellent guidelines government diplomatic posting. Report says 34 of the nominees were confirmed as career ambassadors, while 30 others were declared as non-career ambassadors. After the adoption of the report, Senate President Godswill Akpabio declared the nominees confirmed, urging them to serve Nigeria diligently and project the country's image positively in their respective postings. The Kwara State House of Assembly has announced that the 2026 appropriation bill will be presented to the legislature on Monday, December 22, 2025. The House also announced the suspension of a lawmaker representing Edu constituency, Shaba Yisa Gideon, for 3 months over allegations of contempt of the legislator. A legislative reporter, Busayo Aweda, completes the story.
At the plenary on Thursday, Speaker Yakubu Danlad Saliu read a message from the Executive Governor of Kwara State, Malam Abdurrahman Abdurazak, informing the House of his intention to present the 2026 budget estimate for legislative approval.
Of the 2026 appropriation bill. Complement of decision, kindly be informed that I shall present the 2026 appropriation bill and estimate to the Honorable House on Monday, 22nd December 2025 at 10 a.m. in the chamber of the Kwara State House of Assembly.
The Speaker subsequently directed the Clerk of the House to put all necessary arrangements in place to ensure a each-free budget presentation. Meanwhile, the House has suspended a lawmaker, Saba Yisa Gideon, representing Edu State constituency, for 3 months over allegations of contempt of the legislature. The suspension followed a motion without notice moved by the House leader, Mogaji Oba Abdulkadri, citing relevant provisions of the House rules and the Legislative House's Powers and Privileges Act 2017. The House leader informed members that Gideon was given fair hearing and appeared before an ad hoc panel where he reportedly admitted committing the offense. Based on the panel's findings, the House resolved that the lawmaker proceed on suspension with immediate effect and also directed him to submit a written letter of apology to the House within the suspension period.
Honorable Saba Yisa Gideon, representing Edu State constituency, was found to have recorded proceedings at the meeting of members of the House without consent and forwarded same to an unauthorized person. Whereas the unauthorized recording of the audio by Honorable Saba Yisa Gideon, representing Edu State constituency, and subsequent sharing with an unauthorized person is capable of bringing the legislative institution to disrepute, and it actually brought this honorable institution to disrepute.
Honorable Shaba Yisa Gideon, representing Edu State constituency, should proceed on suspension for 3 months with immediate effect. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it.
Gideon reportedly admitted to the allegation that he recorded a closed-door meeting and shared the audio with an unauthorized person. Busayo Aweda, Kwara TV News.
Controllers of finance and accounts have been charged to embrace innovation, deepen professional excellence, leverage technology and collaborate with stakeholders with a view to strengthen compliance as public financial management continues to evolve. The Accountant General of Kwara State, Alhaji Abdulgani Sani, gave the charge in his remarks at the 2025 annual get-together and sent forth for retirees organized by the Forum of Controllers of Finance and Accounts under its office. Fatima Mohammed covered events for Kwara TV News and filed in this report.
In line with their annual traditions, the Forum of Controllers of Finance and Accounts, under the office of the Kwara State Accountant General, converged within the forecourt of the Ministry of Finance headquarters for the 2025 end of the year get-together, but they could not hide their joy as they celebrate some of their members who recently retired from the active public service. In his message, the State Accountant General Alhaji Abdulganiu Sani, who was represented by his deputy Haji Ayetunde Abdulrahim, reaffirmed the efficacy of the gathering, which he described as a platform for members of the forum to reflect, celebrate, and renew their commitment to service delivery. He commended the state governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak for his support towards enhancing the treasury and financial management architecture of the states.
Despite the challenges in the public finance space this year, we have recorded remarkable progress through teamwork, professionalism, and dedication. I commend our management staff, all the CFAs, and treasury staff across all MPAs for your resilience.
The event featured a talk on wellness and workplace by Dr. Oyeyipo Olabisi Adebusola, a general medical practitioner from the State Ministry of Health, and lecture by Abdulateef Ismail, a financial expert on new tax law.
As accountants, we do a lot of work with screen, computers, phones, and we have a lot of calculations to do. So it's very important that you check your eyes.
The new tax reform just look at the easiest way in which, or the most easy way in which revenue can be generated, and they key into it.
In their goodwill messages, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance, Alhaji Abdulrazak Folorunso, and the Chairman of the CFA's Forum, Alhaji Mohammed Zubair, disclosed that the event is an opportunity for them to meet, dine, and wine with one another.
So give us an opportunity to meet each other, so I'll be able to have a contact together, so that, and again, it gives us an opportunity to unease ourselves from the pressure of the work.
We come together to rub minds together, to rejoice ourselves, and to give glory to Almighty God for sparing our life to witness this year's celebration.
Others who spoke with Kwara TV News expressed delight and commended the organizers for the success of the event.
We deem it fit to have a time to relax and enjoy and daily dine with ourselves.
That's the organizers of the program. It's a wonderful program, and to appreciate those of us that are retiring, we really appreciate.
High point of the ceremony was the presentation of gifts to the retirees and dance step. Fatima Mohammed, Kwara TV News.
The Joint Admission and Matriculations Board has announced plans to accredit a total of 1,039 computer-based test centers nationwide for the 2026 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. The JAMB Registrar Professor Ishak Oloyede disclosed this on Alorin during an accreditation tour of the CBT centers. Oloyede said 52 examination teams are deployed across the country to re-accredit centers or disqualify those that failed to meet the board standards. He explained that the annual accreditation exercise was necessary to ensure compliance with laid-down requirements, stressing the past approval did not guarantee continued eligibility. The registrar described the exercise as so far so good, adding that only a few previously implicated centers has been attempted to resurface. Oloyede said JAMB has strengthened its collaborations with the Corporate Affairs Commission to prevent operators of blacklisted centers from re-entering the system. He added that staffs and proctors previously implicated in malpractice has also been barred from participating in future examinations. And in addition, Kwarans have been urged to cultivate the habit of maintenance culture to ensure sustainability of projects embarked upon by the administration of Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak. These were the submissions of various stakeholders who spoke at the personality lecture in honor of Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, organized by the Kwara State Sports Writers Association of Nigeria, SWAN. A staff reporter, Fatima Rashid, completes the story.
The personality lecture held in honor of Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak was organized by Kwara Swan in recognition of the governor's massive contribution to sports development in the state. In his submission, guest lecturer Hamid Adiu, who highlighted the achievements of Governor Abdulrazak, particularly in sport, appealed to all presidents of sports federations to bring national and international competitions to Kwara to project the efforts of the state's government. He added that the efforts of the governor in the sector resulted in major achievements recorded, citing the Kwara United first ever win of the President's Federation Cup, a feat achieved after 49 years, and other successes recorded in various sporting events.
I've witnessed a very tremendous infrastructural development in the areas of construction of new facilities and renovation of existing facilities within the stadium complex.
In his remarks, the Chief Press Secretary to the Kwara State Governor, Rafia Jakai, who was also honored at the event, described the governor as a sports lover, as exemplified in his efforts to revamp the sector's decaying infrastructure. Ajakai admonished the public to imbibe maintenance culture, urging them to own the projects.
The state of the facilities here is a testament for what it stands for. The state of the facility, where we were and where we are now. The state of the facility in 2019 and the state of the facility now, we are celebrating it, but we all have a duty to maintain these things, the facilities.
Other sports stakeholders, including the chairman, Kwara United Football Club, Kumbi Titiloyi, chairman, Football Association, Idris Abdullahi, chairman, Kwara Sports Commission, Coach Bola Magaji, all attested to the efforts of Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak to the development of sports in the state.
Sincerely speaking, His Excellency has done well, because if you look at the situation of the stadium before the work starts, you know that the place is dead already.
His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kwara State, is very, very passionate on youth development, which sports ecosystem has been used to carry out this policy trust.
In his remarks, Chairman, Sport Writers Association of Nigeria Swan, Kwara State Chapter, Ayodeji Ismail, said the lecture was organized to celebrate the governor's giant strides in the sports sector.
6 years after, we could see a lot of changes in the area of infrastructure and the area of athlete empowerment.
The event featured presentation of awards to deserving individuals, while the general managers of all media stations in Kwara State, including Ayobami Akobi of Kwara TV, were recognized for their various contributions to sports journalism in the state. The personality lecture in honor of Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak had its theme, Years of Purpose Leadership, Rebuilding Institutions, Empowering Athletes, and Positioning Kwara for Sports Excellence. Fatima Rashid, Kwara TV News.
The Nigerian Union of Journalists NUJ Kwara State Council has offered free medical checkups to its members as part of activities marking the 2025 Press Week. The medical outreach took place at the NUJ State Secretariat in the Kwara State capital and attracted journalists from various media organizations across the state. A staff reporter, Busayo Aweda, also completes the story.
Speaking at the event, the chairman of the Press Week 2025 committee, Ayobola Ipinlaye, said the initiative carried out in partnership with the Kwara State resident doctors was driven by the passion to promote the health and well-being of journalists in Kwara State. Ipinlaye noted that the exercise underscores the union's commitment to the welfare of its members, adding that a healthy journalist is better positioned to perform professional duties effectively.
You know, anything from 20, 30 nowadays, you need to keep fit, make sure that you rest, eat good food and all that. And that is why we said, okay, let us collaborate with our Association of Resident Doctors from UITH Ilorin for us to know our health status and of course get adequate drugs.
Some of the beneficiaries who participated in the medical outreach expressed appreciation to the leadership of NUJ Kwara Council for the initiative, describing it as timely and impactful. They called for the sustainability of such programs to further enhance the welfare of journalists in Kwara State.
It's quite appreciative that they are bringing this kind of gesture to their member. It really shows that they have much concern about well-being of their members.
I went through eye screening, then BP, blood pressure, then there's where we complain to the doctor whatever we have, the medical issue we have, we complain to the doctor, he give us advice, they even give us drugs.
I would like to commend the effort of the union for this outreach. It's like an eye-opener to members to know about their welfare, their health, and to know how to take care of themselves.
The medical outreach include blood pressure checkup, eye checkup, among others. Usayo Aweda, Kwara TV News.
All right, with that, this morning complete the package from the English desk of the news. I'll be joined by Kwasano for the news interpretation in Ope language. Over to you, Kwasano.
Thank you, Waji. Awam. Ganchi atukwasha alabani la jani daga misu amed pasan tampafu. Kata shaura yan Kwara wo bani de agani kitunga basoko. Ewo ya gamina daga ga yete wo ya na lofida ga ya 2026 na. Nga basoko adabe yebura ya chichile itenifo na de shibe gube ya 1 December na ifilimu wakura na de anasade ga 2026 appropriation bill na kata shawara biya tike ya mikede kosun zani na de giki ne kosun ya kan gwamnati ka gwamnatin ya edu ni mikin Kwara bonon ga gan saba isa gidium awusan kan gikire ari etsaguta ni edufe kata shauro nji speaker Yakubu Danlade na de shishina latu gbata kada wo shika na de gomna de latu na fiaga de nga basoko gamet etin wo ya 2026 na de be gwa na ya yebro kata shauro na bago muci wagani be rubutu kaci ya kata shauro kede yana yidiga goyinde kai fo muci na de ala takada gamin na de be wo na de be na ala shirin shi aji shishi ebodo ezanda gboro ya ewo muci na takado na be gwa na bema ni me lobe kata shawara ki latu labe kede gbani zani na de gikina kagum tenya edu ni mekin Kwara abono ga saba isa gidom o saka yikire etuen kata shawro arida esaguta iboro na ube bayan egane de tula daga bayan tishin kata shawro no ga gan honorable magaji oba Abdulkadir kede saba isa gidom na be gani be chibla pa gigutun ya kan game kata shawre na de ya kafa bayan hukunci na de be ya 2017 na ya kago kede a chala lo na ile fi na amachile lo na bayan yi na yu na uchi so aminta ki hakika wa le fi uchi jina to na gabila a to daga na wa le fi wa yi le fi na nyena hukunci bati obono ngai gan odolo fedun yari eto agunguruguta nde wa de gandondo damini me kata shawra bwana tishi awa ya wachi daban tishi nusa na jide ela eden ewu lisafin ewo jina yan na controller of finance to account akibagin be accountant ni patan kin Kwara bon kede agikini eti dedo to yeboro na la akichacha dabia edukia jide kin Kwara abuna to lo bayan na ngagen zaman jide elo egba na egan na jide tula bayan za jide gade to kakai na de dan bana de afidun mi pagigi ya emigun ya ni me ya woro na de ifini gba ku ezolo dana na bima to ni mayan pamuti ya zaida etulugwade gwaraji muci wannan ni me game so alaji accountant general yankin Kwara ba Alhaji Abdulgani Sani na dai la wace na dai tulanin lokaci na ce fi don niman na jinan na dai ajin kayuna yana Fatima Muhammad na dai da na wuce na wuce bai wuce ke dai e ba ke don ajin ce da ya ga zo eti don dondo aja fi don eti niman ye an ba fa ke dai na so ko da ara bila fe la to a chaban le amata tun le zuba cike te ci dabi binan aja fi don ya ina idiga goyin eti la gundo ya kendo ne dai zandan dukiya da ya emawo amfani za wangi jikin kwara abuma na shi aga nga ina ajin na dina bima ni me du fenno be muke bebe nga igan ni ma etian ijegen pa mutio ya zejde atun lugwade gola jimu chono ni me kalamia accountant general Alhaji Abdulgani Sani na de shabu nga igan haji ya yetunde Abdurrahim de gikini e ko soyanan latula kede edufia mu yi na de leji ne edufia na kede mu yi ba na de alaka fa doji pata na ti lagun dojo ya ni de ga goyin to ni majina eti ni majo ya mo we edufia lafiya in za angi jo nan to zan na jina de lutun gwa na gan be lafiya ma cha de zo yebo nan ba go ci dadin sauran lo ba leji dutula lo ba gwamna Abdurrahman Abdulrazaki gan be suma to na de unde ya ye gboro ni gola gen dukiya jina to dede ya edufe mawula zangi de kin kwara abuna edufe na de la kama yi de gikini etien ganjo na be ba na zani de ke latula be ngai gan lekita oyeyi ko labisi a de busola na tishi ni gwalagen lafiya ne kan pacho na daga gwalagen ministry ne la da tun lafiya ki na to so nga bazayi a ce aga etin yebo lojo na de tishi nya na gan Abdulatif Ismail ake nake bazabe etin gaje na ya mu da dukiya shi nan wati da ba yi kin kwara abu pata ni kede agi kini etien dadan yana la yo tsade be ya kinigi ngani etun yi de ka ina de muliki ne lo gba ni kin kwara abu de ngai ga muliki Abdurrahman Abdulrazaki lo ga ni be ina na yi ba ga ni de tula daga bagwatran ga mission zai de ga de to ka yin lokaci na de ajin edufin ya iza kan kaji to ciwon laya iza kan kaji ake ba gani be gwamnati so yankin kwara abu nan Abdurrahman Abdulrazaki na de gwalagi na cijiyan labarikati yan ezo na kan sai ne ga Sport Writers Association of Nigeria so ne gwalagi kwakin kwana ajin kayuna gi labari Fatima Rashid na da na wuce nan wuce be wuya kide edufin na de kuza angi de to iza kan kai de ye kan dan na de gwalagi ne so na de jina etian pipajo ya yebo le mo na de etisma to lo na de gwal mulki yan gwamna Abdulrazaki de elo ga ni be yin gwalagi yan lafiya na ka pati wona emi ga mesu yan ga gochi no ba na chonga ga Hamid Adio mu latula etian sashi yin na jide mulki yan gwamna Abdulrazaki lo be na to gwalagi yan lafiya na ka pati wona ba go mo ci tagwa yan latu gwalali lo bayan rangi kidin aji kokarin na dai ngai ga tishi musayan na laidan gwalagin nan kede aji kokari abi kokari te ebono gba ni wa legan zo na kasanji ai mu ba nan ko bana da ban kin kwara bono mu yi na dai aya ade gwagun ganu be ezan kin de yinan mo ci latule ke tin yebolo ba kendo na dai gwamna Abdulrazaki dai lo etin sashiyan kajo ni mi de lafiya na kakwa gwalagi na kan sana ke de lojunci tun de yara ta de din ni ala gan ala de lojunci le ni mi kin kwara abu nanan diwa ti mo takide ga tun le lo ya gutsan ye fos mo wa le gan ejo na kan sanji kwata na ade bisila ibolo ni mi kin kwara abu nanan ni mi kalamia to kachire ya gwamna yankin Kwara ba ngai gan Rafiu Ajakayo na to dan me zana jide alachon ya ni me kan mu chunu ngule ji daga de dan zuma tuto chishina de gwamna yankin Kwara de ya gwaraje ezo na kan sanji nan Ajakayo na nan take de nbe na ngamala etunji kaka na jimwe lunu wabe zangi kide agbazatu etinya na jide ala e mobe na wale gan ni mi ba kan wucho ni mi zangi de ala chinwa ya no nga ni mi ba yi gwamna yakin Kwara so gwamna Abdazaki a ke ba gan be tishi nu sayan mi labarin kin Kwara abuna na tishi nu sai mi tun bai ba no so ne gan ayobami akabe muto dan nimi abo eben kokari na jide ejin ati ya igbo lo yan golagi na kan sai kin Kwara awon na golagi na chian labai kachi de ne ga nu je kongwan Kwara wabona gbani de a ji kokari tidin na kan chile fedo ya na chaji de kin Kwara awon na jira na beije de yeshine ilore ko ngai ga secretariat na ci ilore abu ne dutan kin Kwara abu na ku egi na ci labai kaci de ka kan de yekan egi labari bu sa ya da na dan na mu shono shi be wu kede ni mi ega mi sun na mu yi na de be etian shiri joka na be tsebe daga bayan committee na de ali etian alade na de atsa shishe gan press week yin ya 2025 na ngai gan ni me kalame zani ne tishi ya committee chuna ayobola ipinla on latu lakide na de ajida na igan ana la za pipechi za pipeli la fi anaka pache be na gan bu gikini na etien na la na chien la ba ka chi cha gikini zanzan be eto ayi na ipinla yi na te on latu lakide na cha na ja o agikini etien na la akicha beya na chiji na kongwan dondono ebo ekpo banade adana unji ekpo na za duru be na no sashiyan za idegi amfani na kan ngai gan chigbegbo e fa na ja to atu latula kede na undani men ni na de la e mawe du filafia be ya na bago amachi ya kede shirin na do hinna kamen dondo unchu beje ebo de mawe du filafia ina ibe ba ya chona ngai gan zumana a cin na ka kwace zando le ya shabi na mu yi gan cicile ya gagun na ka kwace be a ci aga eyeji na je la lo to kamin don nan to ci gegen ci gben e fiaji ya en ciji gogodo la jani do na labe ayi na shirin na yilore unge basokona mi Ahmed Pasna tam pafu kainde.
All right, Pastor. Well done, and thank you for the news. About that, this morning, complete the package on the AM News. We want to thank you for being a part of it. And for the updates on the news stories, please do join us by 12 noon, 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. and start time 413 Free TV 502. And also on Facebook and YouTube at Kwara TV. I am Kingsley Olaoye Additional. It is time for another short break. And when we come back, it will be time for more on the show. Please do stay with us. One number one breakfast show of TV, the AM Drive.
Yeah, couple shows to AM Drive.
I mean, cause this insecurity is injustice.
Yeah, couple
AM Drive.
From features you see that will tell you that this animal.
One vote is so important.
This is the AM Drive.
AM Drive.
Security is everybody's business. We should be conscious of it, and we should not. Negligence has its consequences. So we need to all be at alert at any moment, any time. The moment you have, for example, you have a tenant, a new tenant, you need to have all its details. know him to his root, so that if anything happens, you know where to trace him to. You have a new friend, please watch out. What does he do for a living? So these are the kind of small tips of his security that we can. When you have a strange face around, please ask questions. When you have something that looks abnormal, ask questions. Don't just keep quiet. When you see something, please say something so that we can all be on the safe side. The offense of human trafficking denies victims their basic rights. When a victim is recruited, supposing it's taken from a rural area to a urban area, somebody will come around, collect what is working for, collect his wages and go. The person will continue to work for wherever he or she is working for. Yes, that's right. To earn his living has been denied. That is part of it, human rights denial. But if it is international, that is external trafficking. The moment it gets there, part of the control mechanisms they use is to seize the travel documents of that person. So they will use that to control the person to do their own wish, not his own wish. Because even if you tell somebody, let's even be very basic about it. If you tell somebody that I will take you to Italy or somewhere to go and do prostitution, and the person agrees, other conditions attached to it. Did you tell the person? Like if you're on your period, you continue. If the weather is not favorable, you continue. They give them skimpy dresses in very cold, weather. So these are the kind of things. They deceive them, they coerce them, they force them into all this.
Number one breakfast show on TV, the AM Drive.
AM
Drive. I mean, of course, this insecurity is injustice.
AM Drive.
From features you see that will tell you that this annual
one vote is so important. This is the AM Drive.
AM Drive.
Closed circle television is very, very important. It can deter, it can deny, and it can equally make do. Like the experience of what happens sometimes in Offa, the armed robbery that happens in the banks in Offa. It was through the camera that faces were identified, and they were able to to our knowledge, they were brought to court at the time. So it's very, very important that enough facility, as much as we can avoid them, we have little that are not much in price that we can install in our companies, in our schools, in our institutions, in our establishment. So it helps to actually cut offenders who are invading or having criminal trespass into our compound. So the importance of CCTV camera cannot be emphasized. It can deny, it can equally make sure that we identify people that have committed that crime. Why it is going on in real time. If it were to be camera that are monitored, you can quickly stop that act. We can set signals as well to people that will equally comes in to stop that. So it's very, very important to ensure that the safety of our organizations and our establishment is secured with the use of CCTV camera. The religious leader as well has to do much to give the right orientation based on what we preach at the church, what we preach in our mosques, to ensure that all that we live together in this country, we have the mind to allow the peace to reign in this country. So it borders on the government and as well, because security is a collective responsibility of everybody. So everybody in the private sector, in the public sector, at homes, in our churches, in our mosques, we need to come together to ensure that we tackle the causes of insecurity in the land.
the number one breakfast show on TV, the AM Drive.
Shiri AM Drive. I mean, cause this insecurity is injustice.
AM Drive.
From features you see that will tell you that this animal.
One vote is so important.
This is the AM Drive.
AM Drive.
orúkọ mi ni kọ́mọ̀tì bọ́lá àpẹkọ́dẹ̀ a wà ní ìdúfì àgbà rẹ̀ torí pé àwọn tó bí bàbá tiwa wọ́n ti ń ṣe lẹ́nu ìgbà táwọn náà sì débẹ̀ yọjọ́ òun ti jìnnà díẹ̀ so kì í sọ̀rọ̀ ọgọ́rùn-ún méjì ọdún sẹ́yìn ló ti wà oríṣiríṣi èèyàn ló ń ṣiṣẹ́ nígbà torí pé iṣẹ́ yìí gẹ́gẹ́ bí a ṣe mọ̀ pé iṣẹ́ ìbílẹ̀ iṣẹ́ tó jẹ́ iṣẹ́ tí àwọn èèyàn tí wọ́n ti ń ṣe tipẹ́tipẹ́ òun ni oríṣiríṣi èèyàn ló ń ṣiṣẹ́ ń bẹ àwọn tó ń lọ léèwé wọ́n máa ń wá àwọn tí ò lọ síbi ẹ̀kan náà wọ́n máa ń wá so láti wá ṣiṣẹ́ ń bẹ. process rẹ̀ tó bí oríṣi tọ́pọ̀ díẹ̀ ní àkọ́kọ́ ni pé àwọn materials tá a kọ́kọ́ ń lò à ń lo àwọn kan tá à ń pè ní crown test à ń lò kan tá à ń pè ní kóònù crown test ní àwọn olóyìnbó tó máa ń pè ní metallic iron so kóònù ọwá tí a máa fi a ní silk a ní saini a ní bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ bẹ́yẹn àwọn process tá a máa ń lò ní ata ó lẹ́nìkan tí wọ́n máa ń bá wa ta tí wọ́n ń pè ní títa aṣọ tẹ́ bá ti gbọ́ títa aṣọ nínú èdè iṣẹ́ aṣọ òun ni process àkọ́kọ́ tí a bá ti tábẹ́ yẹn ó ní àwọn irinṣẹ́ tí a máa ń lò agbèfẹ́ni tí ó bá wa so síso la máa ń pè so òun ó so sí àṣà àti tí a ń pè ní ọmú so kó tó di pé yó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí jẹ́ ṣíṣe so àwọn process díẹ̀ tí a máa ń lò tá a máa fi ń bẹ̀rẹ̀ rẹ̀ nìyẹn ìṣòro tá a ní ni wípé gẹ́gẹ́ bí mo ṣe sọ pé iṣẹ́ ìbílẹ̀ ni ojú iṣẹ́ ìbílẹ̀ náà ni àwọn èèyàn wá fi ń wò tó sì pé àwọn nǹkan tó yẹ kí ó jẹ́ ṣíṣe ń bẹ̀ kò jẹ́ ṣíṣe lápèjúwe challenges àwọn fèsì ń bẹ̀ ni wípé àwọn materials tá à ń lò kò yẹ ṣe ilé tí wọ́n ń ṣe ní orílẹ̀-èdè wa yìí wọ́n ń kó wá láti China ni àtàwọn orílẹ̀-èdè míì so tó sì pé kó tó di pé yóò dé ìmọ̀ tí ń gbówó lérí púpọ̀ gan gẹ́gẹ́ bá a ṣe mọ̀ pé ọ̀rọ̀ dọ́là sí náírà ó jẹ́ ìṣòro fún wa bí dọ́là bá ṣe ń gbẹnu sókè ní dọ́là tí wọ́n ń gbẹnu wálẹ̀ so ara ìṣòro ta nínú ẹ̀ ìṣòro ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kejì ni pé nípa àwọn tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ yìí àti ń ṣiṣẹ́ yìí bọ́ ti pẹ́ tí n bá bù kéré mi tí mo jòkó nísìnyí tí ń lé bá bí 30 ọdún tí a ti wà ń bẹ̀ so àwọn bí a ṣe ń gba iṣẹ́ yẹn ó ti jẹ́ kí ó fẹ́ mọ sú àwa kò fẹ́ sí owó lérí rẹ̀ mọ́tò nǹkan iṣẹ́ tí a ti ń ṣe bò láti for the past 20-15 years tí a ń gbà ní owó tí wọ́n ń pè ní owó àpò mẹ́rin òun náà la ṣe ń gbàdì sí gẹ́gẹ́ bí a ṣe mọ̀ àwa náà mọ irun tí ń ṣẹlẹ̀ lórílẹ̀‐èdè tàwa nísìnyí gbogbo nǹkan ló ti gbé owó lé orí so kò jẹ́ kí owó yìí fẹ́ tó wa ná mọ́ wọ́n fẹ́ dàbí ẹni pé àwa tá a jẹ́ ṣiṣẹ́ a fẹ́ dàbí aláìmọ̀ọ́sẹ̀ kọ́dà wọ́n fẹ́ pé wà ká mọ̀ sí kankan ju kí a mọ̀ sí lọ lára tí a sì tó sì jẹ́ ọ̀nà ìgbà tí iṣẹ́ yìí fi wúlò púpọ̀ ni wípé ó lé ní ẹgbẹ̀rún 2 sí 3 nínú Ìlọrin yìí tó sì pé wọ́n ṣiṣẹ́ yìí tó cut across Ìlọrin East West Asa àti Ìlọrin South tí ń ṣe Kwara Central so a ní àwọn ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ mbẹ̀ tí wọ́n pọ̀ rẹpẹtẹ tó ṣe pé tí a bá ní kí tíjọba bá wa rí sí so yóò jẹ́ nǹkan tí ó help ìjọba náà torí pé àwa la jẹ́ kí ọmọ bú tọ́ọ̀gì ó lè kí wọ́n pọ̀ torí pé iṣẹ́ yìí ó mú àwọn èèyàn busy láti máa wá jíjẹ mímu láti máa fi bọ́ ìyàwó máa fi bọ́ ọmọ fọlọ́run pé tí a bá wò ní pìlẹ̀ wá iṣẹ́ aṣòfin gẹ́gẹ́ bí àwọn èèyàn mi ṣe sọ a ní oríṣiríṣi àwọn aṣọ yìí alẹ́ tá à ń pè ní sanyán àlárí so bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ bẹ́yẹn nígbà tí a fi kéré tá a fi wà lẹ́nu sẹ́yìn àwọn yìí ló pọ̀ jù nínú nǹkan tí wọ́n máa ń ṣe àmọ́ ṣe mọ̀ pé bí ìgbà bá ṣe ń lọ ìyẹn gbọ́dọ̀ máa bá gbà yìí kí ẹ má bàa bá ìgbà lọ so àwọn oríṣiríṣi àwọn iṣẹ́ yẹn láti tún introduce pé ó jẹ́ àwọn oríṣiríṣi à ń pè kan ní fi kọ́ à ń pè àwọn kan ní damask à ń pè àwọn kan ní jáwù tó sì pé ara àwọn bí a ṣe fi iṣẹ́ yìí upgrade kí iṣẹ́ yìí fi lè jẹ́ tí òfin ní mọ́ outdated gẹ́gẹ́ bí àwọn olóyìnbó so a tún gbìyànjú láti ní àwọn materials pé kò sí tẹ́lẹ̀ irú àwọn eléyìí nísìn gbogbo 90 early 2000 kò sí ti ń jẹ́ àwọn crantess so àwọn saini àti cotton níbẹ̀ lára àwọn ìyípadà tí ó bá iṣẹ́ yìí tí a fi rò pé a fi upgrade òun nìyẹn nígbà kan wa kò sí tá à ń pè ní loom à ń pè iṣẹ́ kan ìkan ní loom ń sọ pé àwọn tó jẹ́ àwọn ìgbéra àwọn náà máa ń ṣe yẹn àwa náà ti ń ṣe látara pé instead tá a fi máa join méjì mẹ́ta eléyìí papọ̀ tí ó fi fọ́ọ̀mù dédé size táwọn yẹn bá nídìí so a lè ṣe òun lódìdí ẹyọ kan ṣoṣo so that tí ó fi jẹ́ tí wọ́n fi tún gbé lọ sílé télọ̀ láti lọ lè rán papọ̀ mọ́ ara iṣẹ́ tí ara ìdàgbàsókè tó bá iṣẹ́ wa yìí ni láti fi upgrade iṣẹ́ wa. Lára challenge tá à ń fèsì lára pa iṣẹ́ ọwọ́ kíkọ́ ni wípé àtàbà wo iṣẹ́ ọwọ́ mi á rí i pé tí wọ́n bá fẹ́ gbé tí wọ́n bá fẹ́ kú mọ́ ọmọ wa lọ lè kọ́ṣẹ́ bàbá ọ̀tẹ̀lé ìyá ọ̀tẹ̀lé wọ́n jọ sign agreement ni wípé ọdún méjì ni ó lò ọdún mẹ́ta ni ó lò èyí báyìí lówó fọ́ọ̀mù èyí báyìí ni owó iṣẹ́ tí ọkọ̀ so gbogbo eléyìí hùn tẹ́lẹ̀ nínú iṣẹ́ wa yìí kò sí bọ́mọ bá ti ń dààmú òbí rẹ̀ ńlé tí òjò gbádùn wọn ni ẹ ti lọ sí díò fi kọ́ lójú lọ́dọ̀ bọ̀dá Sakiru jàre so bí wọ́n ti máa ń wí ni àmọ́ nísìn kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀ mọ́ so kò sí ìhun mọ́ nísìn látara pé ẹni tó bá fẹ́ kọ́ sẹ́yìn yóò wá.
One number one breakfast show of TV, the AM Drive.
Ìyẹn káàbọ̀ sórí ètò yín ètò wa AM Drive.
Shiri AM Drive. I mean, cause this insecurity is injustice.
Ìyẹn káàbọ̀ sórí ètò
AM Drive.
From features you see that will tell you that this animal.
One vote is so important.
This is the AM Drive.
AM Drive.